If a single $500 cream could solve all the age-related problems you can imagine, the beauty industry would have shut down long ago. That's exactly why you won't find such a cream, no matter how hard you look. But let's be honest, no jar of cream works miracles, no matter how much it costs or what kind of marketing is attached to it. In reality, skin aging is just a few processes that start working less efficiently and at a slower pace. In other words, they simply slow down. For example, let's say you have a car. Over the years, its brake pads wear out, it doesn't brake as well, its leather seats get worn because you sit on them, and they start to look worse. There are also some other breakdowns. It starts to rust because it's parked outside, and so on. So when you know exactly what makes your skin age, you know which problems need to be solved. When you know the name of your problem, you can choose the right product to address it. And then taking care of your face and the goal of making yourself look young and beautiful stops being magic for you. Because 90% of women in America buy cosmetics purely based on marketing. That is, she buys it, applies it, and hopes that it will work. If after 2 weeks it hasn't produced any amazing results, then it didn't work. You could spend all your money this way and still never find by trial and error the product that will actually give you some effect on your face. I'm 36 years old. This is my photo at... How old do I look? Basically 25 or 26 years old. So I found a way for myself and figured out which aging mechanisms are present. Back when I was 25, those mechanisms hadn't started working yet, but even then I didn't look that great. I managed not only to avoid aging, but to actually look better than I did before. That's why I know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's keep going. I have a few notes, so I'll be glancing at them. First, the biggest myth, which exists pretty much everywhere in the world, but in America, the entire marketing campaign is really built on it. One cream is a magic pill because it's convenient. You can set a very high price for it. It's really simple. You just use one cream in the morning and at night, and everything will be great. In America, there's a cult of the miracle product. People buy one luxury cream and believe it will get rid of wrinkles, pigmentation, dryness, and loss of firmness. But the problem is that skin isn't a monolith. It has several different functions. Each function is different, and any of them can malfunction, which is what causes the aging process. A single active ingredient can't solve everything. This is a well-established fact. Let's start with that. So this idea that you can buy just one thing and it will help you no longer works for us. The opposite extreme, which the Koreans have done, Korean cosmetics, is to buy 30 different jars, create a very multi-step skincare routine, and layer all of it on your skin one after another, thinking that this will give you results. This approach also doesn't work when it comes to real skin rejuvenation because your skin doesn't need 30 different products. And so it's all just a marketing story. The truth is, you need to specifically understand which function you want to support, what exactly is happening on your face and what you don't like, and then choose products that address that particular problem. Now, let's break down the key problems that for 99% of women mainly cause the feeling that I'm starting to age or I've gotten older. Very simply, but with a scientific aspect. Problem number 1. Wrinkles and sagging. That's what we call this problem. And when you look at marketing, at the name of a cream removes wrinkles and sagging, you don't understand how, what the mechanism is, what the main ingredient is, how it works, what exactly it removes. Because wrinkles and sagging they're just a consequence of the problem. In other words, you don't understand what the root cause of the problem is. What is the root cause of the problem? Why do wrinkles and sagging occur? It's the skin matrix. The skin matrix is the framework of the skin. And this framework naturally starts to lose its strength. And this happens to everyone, both men and women. There's less collagen production, so this facial framework gradually starts to deteriorate, sag, or sink. And a decrease in elastin production, meaning those sagging jowls, ptosis, the hollowing of the eye sockets, drooping of the eyelid, all of this seems like normal age-related changes. But actually, that's not the case. In a healthy state, skin with normal elastin can stretch and contract, fully maintaining the original structure of the face, and hyaluronic acid. And it's like a sponge that retains water. Now I'll show you what the skin matrix looks like in a healthy, or rather a young person versus an older person. If you can imagine, it's either like this, a layer of skin from the deep layers to the surface, which is well hydrated with a good structure and renews itself well, or it's like a compressed, dried out piece that no longer renews itself, is brittle, and all it takes is for a woman to sleep on her side, and by morning she already has new wrinkles. So the problem of sagging and wrinkles is exactly what I showed you on the screen. This happens when key functions, such as the production of collagen and elastin and the retention of hyaluronic acid, stop working properly and you start to age. The second problem is dull skin tone and uneven texture. This is also something women complain about a lot, right? And first, why does this happen? The cell renewal cycle slows down. In young women, it lasts 28 days, so it coincides with the menstrual cycle. But closer to 40, this cycle starts to lengthen dramatically. So it turns out that your skin cells are replaced more slowly, but they're still the same skin cells that were designed for a 28-day cycle. Old cells linger longer and don't get cleared away, they don't shed. And most importantly, the inner layer of the skin starts to copy the external defects. As I always say, for example, if you get a pigment spot on your face, you can remove it with a laser, but in 6 months it will reappear because it's already present in the system that builds the structure of your skin. That's why, if you want to avoid, and wrinkles form in exactly the same way. So for example, if you have, let's say, injected hyaluronic acid and smoothed out some fine wrinkles, but you have wrinkles that are systematically embedded in the deeper layers of your skin, the hyaluronic acid will dissolve in 8 months, right? The Botox will stop working in 6 months and your wrinkles will come back. Did I explain that clearly? Is that clear? Because it's like a systemic defect in the formation of the skin that needs to be fixed. So what helps with this big problem in this case? Products that promote cell renewal with IGF, retinoids, and mild acids. The most effective are IGF because retinoids produce a very strong effect, meaning either peeling or breakouts. And you can't combine this with summer, sun, and so on. IGF peptides, which are growth factors, have no contraindications, but they are not cheap. Mild acids mainly work on the upper layer of the skin, creating a similar effect. And the most effective product I've found so far is IGF Denea Serum. Here it is on the screen from the company Limex. It speeds up the cycle of creating new cells, and the new cells are born healthy. So if there was a pigment spot, it disappears. Did I explain that clearly enough? Problem number 3 is dryness and loss of volume. This is what women usually notice first, especially when they lose weight, and they try to fix it by injecting fillers into their face. I don't have anything against fillers. I mean, I'm not against anything that can make a woman more beautiful. I'm all for effectiveness. It's just that I know girls who injected fillers, puffed up their faces, and started swelling terribly because fillers and hyaluronic acid attract water and cause swelling. And they started to look, well, like alcoholics. So fillers are for restoring volume when you've really lost a lot of weight. For example, if you've lost 30 kilograms after, say, having children, and your skin really hasn't had time to tighten up, and even then, if you're young, it's better to work on improving your elastin and collagen than to try to give yourself round cheeks and a round face. But sometimes, as you get older, closer to 50, a person really does lose fat tissue in the face, and in that case, you can use fillers to restore it. But if you try to use fillers to completely prevent volume loss, you'll just end up with a puffy, bloated face like an alcoholic. That's it. So that's not really an option. You can do it in targeted areas, but you need to understand what you're doing. Why does dryness and loss of skin volume occur? So, for example, you want your cheekbones to look like they've been filled, or like threads have been inserted, or as if you're 20 again, right? And you want your youthful angle to look beautiful, your temples to look nice, and your eyes not to droop. Everyone wants all of that. You would never guess, I assure you, why volume is lost and how almost every woman does this. It's the skin barrier, it's the lipid barrier of the skin. It's not even the skin itself. There are tiny hairs on the skin, and among them are lipids. These are little fatty substances that protect the skin from dehydration and water loss. And the skin matrix is this whole skin package. And on top, there are these lipids that hold the hyaluronic acid inside the matrix. And if your hyaluronic acid easily escapes on its own, then your face literally dries out from dehydration. And no matter how much hyaluronic acid you inject into the deep layers of the skin or place it on the bones or muscles, your skin package still dries out, you see? And how can this happen? Very easily. You just wash your face with soap. Just with soap. Or you buy any cleanser from the household goods section in the store, and that's it. Or you use a cleanser that contains a lot of acids that don't suit you, for example, just because your friend recommended it, you know? Once again, what is the peptide, or more precisely, the skin barrier, the lipid barrier of the skin? It's a brick wall made of lipid cells. What helps? Moisturizing solutions, osmolytes, amino acids, creams that restore lipids. Because the thing is, you lose tissue volume and facial volume and even end up with sunken temples, among other things. Even cosmetologists say, that's just an age-related change. What did you expect? Yes, but that's actually skin thinning. Dark circles under the eyes and sunken eye sockets are due to thinning of already delicate skin. Why does this happen? Improper washing, harsh cleansing that destroys the lipid barrier. It's like if you imagine soil that you've just watered, for example, when you're planting some grass, and then you put it out under the scorching sun, and all the moisture evaporates. The same thing happens to your skin if you don't take care of the lipid barrier. And you might think that the volume of the skin is drying out, but as of today, on my face, again, I'll repeat, I'm 36 years old, I don't have any fillers in place right now. I had fillers between the ages of 25 and 27. I'll show you a photo again now, where I'm about 25, maybe 24 years old. So, because at that time I was drying out my face simply by not taking proper care of it, I looked much worse, my skin was worse, less even, and you can see a bunch of uneven spots and indentations on my face. And that's hard to understand. You look at it and think, how is that possible? How is that possible without injections? Because you might have a skin layer this thick, and it can be dense and nourished, but just because you don't use any cream, you wash your face with soap, and you sit under air conditioners, it can turn into this. And then you start to see sunken eye sockets, muscle structures, bones begin to stick out, and everything starts to sag. And this isn't even primarily related to age. Next, problem number 2 is pigmentation. Why do melanocyte cells start producing melanin chaotically due to DNA damage and slowed regeneration? So regeneration is the first problem. When we regenerate, we create more and more cells, right? And we also have DNA damage because in principle, aging, the entire aging process of the body is DNA damage. More and more DNA becomes damaged and the body begins to form less and less correctly, less quickly, with greater systemic errors. That is, and the pigment that gives skin its color. In this video, I'll probably go through all the colors of the rainbow because my devices are gradually shutting off one by one. What helps? Antioxidants, vitamin C, DNA complexes, correct copying errors. This is key because most of you have heard of vitamin C. You're like, yeah, I know about vitamin C. Antioxidants help protect against external factors, but the original error at the DNA level, which causes this pigmentation and keeps coming back to the surface, nothing except a DNA complex can fix it. Let me show you an example of a serum that works as effectively as possible. EGF DNA serum. Here it is. As usual, all the product links are below. You can go and buy them directly. Let's sum up. I've written a little summary for myself here. In short, skin is a complex system. Well, not so complex that it can't be understood. Now it's become a little clearer. It has at least 4 main functions. Renewal, matrix synthesis, which is our skin package, right? And moisture retention and barrier protection. A single active ingredient can work on one function, at most 2, but not all of them. That's why a $500 cream can't, even if it costs $1,000, one cream simply can't be the solution, technically speaking, because all these things work on different layers of the skin and in one component, in one jar, they just don't get along with each other. Yes, the right way is a minimal but smart routine. Cleansing without breaking the barrier, serums with a complex of active ingredients such as EGF, DNA, and TGF, and a cream to fix the result and protect the barrier. This minimal routine, and I'll leave it for you in the description. I won't waste my time on her now. You will be able to order it and try it. But remember that any changes in the deeper layers of the skin will start to appear for the first time after about 3 months of use. After 6 months, you will definitely have a new face without pigmentation, without creases, without wrinkles, and without breakouts where you usually had them. But you need to stick with it for those 6 months and really do the same routine morning and night. It's easy, it's not difficult, but it comes down to your discipline. In short, I hope I've dispelled the myth that you have to buy cheap products or that you have to buy expensive ones. You shouldn't buy it if you don't understand what's inside and what problem this product is supposed to solve. That's when you shouldn't buy it. Before you find out what's wrong with you, you at least need to understand what you don't like about your face, most likely what kind of issue it is and what could probably fix it. And then you can start reading up on ingredients and learning about cosmetics, or you can subscribe to my channel and write in the comments what you want to fix on your face. And I will try to make a video where I will explain, first of all, what kinds of issues the things you describe might be based on, then what types of cosmetics can address them, and how it works technically, so that you know for sure that if you spend your money and your time, you will definitely get results and stop treating cosmetics like some kind of magic pill. This miracle will work, this one won't. That's not how it works. I mean, you should know exactly what you're using and get results. and it really does work. It's not magic. And most importantly, you're not harming yourself. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm waiting for your comments describing your situation